You should be ashamed of yourself. Your father must be just as worthless and incompetent as you are. My breath caught in my throat when I heard those words. I was standing in the cafeteria, holding my coffee when that voice reached my ears. Through the classroom doorway I could see her, Mrs. Sullivan, a teacher raising her voice so loud that the entire hallway could hear. And in front of her, a small child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, tears streaming down his face, hands clutched against his chest. I stood there, coffee in hand, storm brewing in my heart. I had no idea who this boy was. I didn't know that this wasn't just a simple incident. This was about to become the biggest turning point of my life. Mrs. Sullivan, I called out, walking toward the doorway. My heart was pounding hard, but I kept myself under control. Why are you speaking to him like that? She turned around and her face clearly showed anger. Mr. Hayden, this isn't your concern. He's my student, and I know how to deal with him. Deal with him or humiliate him, I said, my words sharper than I intended. I looked at her, then at the child. His blue eyes lifted toward me, filled with fear and confusion. He's just a child. You know nothing about his family. Who do you think you are? She flared up. You're just a substitute art teacher. You have no authority here. Authority isn't needed when humanity is involved. I interrupted her. You're a teacher, his role model, and you're teaching him that being shamed is normal? She fell silent. I turned toward the child and knelt down. Hey, are you okay? He nodded, but tears were still falling. I placed my hand on his shoulder, light, reassuring. Come on, let's go to the principal's office. You won't be in any trouble, I promise. The relief in that child's eyes gave me a strange warmth, like I had done something right, something important. The walk to the principal's office was short, but that boy, whose name I later learned was Lauren, held my hand the entire way. His grip was so tight, as if he wouldn't let me go. I kept looking down at him and thought, he's so small, how alone must he feel? Principal Davis listened seriously. I told her everything, every word, every expression, and Mrs. Sullivan's humiliating behavior. Lorraine stood there listening, his eyes fixed on the ground, occasionally glancing at me as if confirming I was still with him. Mr. Hayden, you did absolutely the right thing, the principal said, but there was something else in her eyes. Hesitation. But Mrs. Sullivan is a senior teacher. This matter could get complicated. Complicated? A child is being traumatized and you're seeing complications? My anger erupted. I controlled myself, but my point was clear. The principal sent Lauren to the counselor and told me she would investigate the matter. I knew this was politics. Schools have power dynamics, and I was just a temporary substitute. But when I saw Lauren leaving, looking back at me one more time, I thought, it doesn't matter. I did what I had to do. The day ended with a strange anxiety. I filed the complaint. The principal gave Mrs. Sullivan a warning, and I returned to my small art room. My contract had only 2 weeks left at this school. Then I'd go back to searching for a real job. With an art degree, I hadn't found anything stable yet, just temporary positions here and there. But after today, I felt an odd satisfaction, like I had done something meaningful. The next morning when I arrived at school, everything was different. Everyone in the staff room was looking at me. Whispers, judgmental stares. Someone even called me a troublemaker. Apparently Mrs. Sullivan had shared her side of the story, and now I was the teacher who challenges seniors. I ignored it and walked toward my desk, but then the intercom buzzer rang. Mr. Hayden, principal's office. Immediately, my heart sank. Had Mrs. Sullivan filed a complaint against me? Were they going to suspend me? I climbed the stairs while my mind created worst-case scenarios. Maybe they'd terminate my contract now. Maybe they'd blacklist me. Principal Davis sat at her desk, but today her expression was completely different. Nervous, almost intimidated. She was fidgeting with a pen in her hands. Mr. Hayden, she said, gesturing toward her screen. You need to attend a meeting this afternoon. The CEO of Ashford Industries wants to meet you personally. My heart sank. CEO? Why? Yesterday's child, she said slowly. He's their son. I felt the oxygen leave the room. What? Yes. Lauren Ashford, and his father, Devon Ashford, wants to meet you. Personally. The principal paused. Mr. Hayden, you may not understand, but Ashford Industries is the biggest corporate empire in this city. Devon Ashford, he's a very powerful man. I was stunned. Ashford Industries. That was the city's largest corporate empire. Their name appeared not just in business sections, but in charity galas and political circles too. And I had helped their son. Without knowing. He'll be here at 2 p.m. Conference room. Look presentable, the principal said, and for the first time there was a warning in her voice. This is a very big matter, Mr. Hayden. Please, be professional. I returned to my class but couldn't concentrate. Children were painting, but my mind was stuck on one thing. Devon Ashford. I looked at his photos on Google. Sharp features, cold eyes, expensive suits. A billionaire CEO who never smiled in front of the media. There were articles about his business strategies, about his ruthlessness, and now he was coming to meet me. Afternoon arrived and I stood in the conference room, my palms sweating. I adjusted my shirt for the third time. My reflection showed in the glass and I thought, how ordinary I look. Then the door opened. First a security guard entered, then a man. Tall, sharp suit, charcoal gray, perfectly tailored, jet black hair, slicked back perfectly, cheekbones so sharp they could cut glass. And his eyes dark brown, intense, cold, focused directly on me. What appeared in pictures, reality was far more powerful. His presence filled the entire room. Mr. Hayden, he said, extending his hand. His voice was deep, controlled, but with a hidden warmth I hadn't expected. I'm Devon Ashford, Lauren's father. I shook his hand. His grip was firm, electric. The current ran through my hand. I quickly pulled my hand back, suddenly aware of how nervous I was becoming. You saved my son, Devon said, and for the first time, a softness came into his voice that didn't match his exterior at all. Mrs. Sullivan had been publicly humiliating him for several days. Lauren kept telling me, but I didn't understand how serious it was. I thought maybe he was exaggerating, or it was normal school discipline. But yesterday when he came home and mentioned you, told me the whole story in detail, that's when I realized I hadn't taken my son's words seriously. There was guilt in his voice. Real guilt. My mouth hung open. Sir, I don't think— Do you know what Lauren said? Devon interrupted me, and for the first time a faint smile appeared on his lips. That smile seemed so rare, as if he hadn't done it in years. He said, Dad. An angel came and stopped Mrs. Sullivan. He held me and said I was safe. He promised me. My heart stopped. Water came to my eyes but I controlled it. Lauren called me an angel? That small child I had only tried to show humanity to. I came to thank you, Devon said, and now his eyes were boring into mine. Direct, unfiltered, and to make a proposal. A proposal? I said carefully. He pulled out a folder and placed it on the table. Black leather folder, expensive. Lauren needs a private art tutor. He's become very attached to painting. Actually, it's his escape, but the school environment has become toxic for him. Bullying, teacher bias, everything. I want you to teach him full-time. Triple the salary you're getting here. My mind spun. Triple? That would solve my financial problems. My rent, loans, everything. This is so sudden. I know, Devon said, and there was something else in his eyes. Something I couldn't name. Vulnerability? Trust? But you're the person who saw my son when everyone ignored him, and I myself was ignoring him. You're the person he trusts. And honestly, he paused. His jaw tightened as if he was holding back from saying something. I want to trust you too. For Lauren. For his safety. For his happiness. That last line, soft, personal, unexpected, sent a current down my spine. This powerful man was talking to me about trust. To an ordinary teacher like me. I didn't know this was just a job offer, or if something far more complicated was about to begin. But when I looked into Devon's eyes, that depth, that silent desperation, I knew this wasn't just about Lauren. There was something else too, something I couldn't understand, but I could feel it. I need some time to think about this. Those words left my mouth, but my heart had already made its decision. Devon Ashford stood before me, his intimidating presence filling the entire conference room. But what I saw in his eyes was the desperation of a father, the helplessness of a man who wanted to see his son happy. Of course, Devon said, though there was slight disappointment in his voice that he tried to hide. But Mr. Hayden, Jarvis, for the first time he used my first name and my heart stopped for a second. Lauren needs you. And I also hope you'll seriously consider this offer. That last sentence. That pause. That intensity. I couldn't say anything. Just nodded and walked out holding the contract folder. Once in the hallway, I took a deep breath, holding the folder against my chest. This was all so overwhelming. My entire day, my mind stayed stuck on that conversation. Devon's voice. His eyes. Lauren needs you. That line kept echoing in my ears. A man like Devon, powerful, wealthy, controlling. How could he say that? He had seemed emotionally vulnerable in that moment, and I couldn't understand whether this was all real or just my illusion. That night when I returned to my tiny apartment, I opened the contract. The terms were crystal clear. The salary was even more than I thought. Actually not triple, quadruple. Benefits. Health insurance. Car allowance. And a clause that stopped me. Classes will be held at private residence. Ashford Estate. Ashford Estate. The mansion that magazines wrote articles about. The modern palace of the city. One headline read. I opened my laptop and started researching. Devon Ashford, 33 years old. Self-made billionaire. He had acquired and rebuilt his father's company when he was only 24. Ruthless businessman. His personal life? Almost invisible. There was no mention anywhere of Lauren's mother. Divorce? Death? Nothing confirmed. Just an old article. Devon Ashford's wife leaves amidst custody battle settled privately. And then I found a detail that stopped me. Devon Ashford is known for his extreme privacy and distrust of outsiders. Very few people are allowed into his personal circle. But he wanted to trust me, wanted to invite me into his home, leave me alone with his son. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept reading the contract again and again. I kept remembering Lauren's frightened eyes. And Devon's voice. I want to trust you too. The next morning I made my decision. When informing the principal, my hand was shaking. I'm taking this position. Principal Davis was shocked but said nothing. Perhaps she too knew you don't say no to people like the Ashfords. Your contract ends next week anyway. I wish you the best of luck, Mr. Hayden. And thank you for what you did for Lauren. That day my class children gave me goodbye cards. Small drawings and messages. One girl said, Mr. Hayden, you're the best teacher. And in that moment I thought maybe teaching was my calling. Maybe I was going down the right path. 2 days later I stood in front of the main gate of Ashford Estate. This wasn't a mansion. This was a private world. Iron gates, black, imposing, modern design. Sprawling gardens with manicured lawns and picture-perfect flower beds. And the marble structure visible in the distance, gleaming in the sunlight. Contemporary architecture, floor-to-ceiling windows, clean lines. This wasn't luxury. This was power. My hands were shaking when I pressed the intercom. Mr. Jarvis Hayden? A formal voice came. Yes. The gates opened slowly, smoothly, as if the doors to a different world were opening. I drove in and my cheap second-hand car looked pathetic on that driveway where a Bentley and Aston Martin were parked. I felt embarrassed but reminded myself, I'm here for Lauren, not for anyone else. At the entrance I met a staff member, middle-aged woman, strict face but polite. Gray uniform, perfect posture. Mr. Ashford is waiting for you. In the study room. Please, follow me. She led me inside. Luxury was visible at every step. Paintings that should be in galleries, chandeliers sparkling, marble floors reflecting like mirrors. But everything was cold. There was no warmth, no family photos, no personal touches. Like this was a house, not a home. In the study room Devon stood near the window, hands in pockets. In formal attire again, navy blue suit this time. But today his energy was different. Slightly relaxed? No. Guarded but waiting. Jarvis, he said my name again and my stomach twisted. This informality, this closeness was unnerving me. Thank you for coming. I came for Lauren, I said quickly, making my purpose clear. Devon looked at me for a second, a penetrating gaze that made me feel he was seeing inside me. My intentions, my fears. Then he gave a slight nod. Of course. Lauren is waiting for you. The art studio is upstairs. Studio? For the first time, Devon smiled properly. A real smile that reached his eyes. Yes, I had one designed for him. I hope you like it. He led me upstairs. Marble stairs, wrought iron railing. Every detail perfectly crafted. We passed through a hallway, paintings on both sides, and then stopped in front of double doors. White doors, gold handles. Devon opened the doors and my mouth hung open. This wasn't just a room. This was an artist's dream. Natural light flooding through glass walls overlooking the garden. Easels, professional grade, multiple sizes. Canvases stacked perfectly. Every possible art supply, oil paints, acrylics, watercolors, pastels, charcoals. A whole wall of brushes, colors perfectly organized. Labeled drawers. Everything. All this, my voice choked. For Lauren, Devon said softly, coming closer to me. But he won't use any of this without you. He specifically told me I want the angel to teach me. Only him. My heart tightened. I walked inside and touched a canvas smooth, untouched, full of possibility. This was all so overwhelming for me. I had never seen such a perfect setup. Even in professional studios. I don't understand, I said, turning toward Devon. Why did you have all this made before I came? What if I had said no? Devon looked at me, unfiltered, raw. He came closer, just 2 feet of distance, because when I saw what I saw in Lauren's eyes when he mentioned you, I knew you wouldn't say no. You're not the kind of person who disappoints a child. And I was betting on you. For the first time betting on a stranger, his confidence, his certainty. All this was unnerving me. How well did this man understand me? We had only met twice. Then there was a knock on the door. Light knock, hesitant. Devon smiled. Come in, Lauren. The door opened and Lauren entered. That small child, but today for the first time I was seeing him genuinely smile. Wide smile, bright eyes. Jarvis. He ran toward me and hugged my waist. Without any hesitation, my heart melted. I ruffled his hair. Hey buddy, ready to paint? Yes. Dad made all this for me. And for you too. His excitement was contagious. More for you, I said, kneeling down to his level. This is your studio, I'm just here to guide you. Lauren looked at me with a serious expression. But you'll stay here, right? Always? You won't leave again? My throat tightened. How much abandonment fear this small child carried. I'm here, Lauren. And I'm not going anywhere. I promised. And this promise was from my heart. Devon stood in the background, watching his son. And when I looked at him, there was something in his expression I couldn't understand. Gratitude, relief, or something else. There was moisture in his eyes that he tried to hide by blinking. I won't disturb you, Devon said, keeping his voice controlled. But if you need anything at all, tell me. I've informed the staff. Whatever you ask for, you'll let. Thank you, I said. He started to leave, but stopped at the door. Jarvis? Yes, Devon turned back. His eyes connected with mine. You gave my son back. His smile, his trust, his happiness. His voice cracked slightly. I'll never forget this. And he left, quietly closing the door. I stood there with Lorraine. But my mind was stuck on Devon. His voice. His vulnerability. All this was so real it scared me. 'Cause I hadn't come here just to be a tutor. I was becoming something else. And I didn't know if this was right or a very big mistake. Blend the flower petal like this, Lauren. See the balance of light and shadow. I sat beside Lauren, guiding his small hand. He was concentrating, tongue slightly out, a small paint smudge on his nose. What happened? He looked at me, confused. Nothing. You're just very cute when you focus. He blushed, pink spreading across his cheeks. And in that moment, I forgot this was just a job. This had become personal. Lauren wasn't just a student anymore. He was attaching me emotionally. And I was attaching to him. For the past 2 weeks I'd been coming to Ashford Estate daily. Arriving at 9 in the morning, leaving at 5 in the evening. Spending time with Lauren was easy. Natural. He was very talented in art. But what he needed wasn't technique. It was encouragement. The validation that perhaps he'd never received in his life. After every painting he'd look at me waiting for approval. And when I said, "This is beautiful, Lauren," the sparkle in his eyes was priceless. But the real challenge was Devon. He'd sometimes pass by the studio. The door stayed half open and I'd feel his gaze. Observing. Watching. But he never disturbed us. Just watched, with a faint smile, and then left. Sometimes he'd be on his phone. Business calls, clearly stressful, but when he passed the studio, he'd pause. Look. And his expression would soften. This routine had become comfortable. But then everything started to change. One day, after the session ended, Lorraine went with the nanny for lunch and I was packing my supplies, cleaning brushes, organizing paints. Then Devon came in. "How's it going?" he asked, hands in pockets, leaning against the doorframe. In casual clothes, white shirt, sleeves rolled up, black pants. For the first time I was seeing him so accessible. "Very well, Lauren is naturally gifted. He just needed confidence." I smiled. Devon smiled, a real smile that softened his entire face. "Because of you. He talks about you all the time. At breakfast, at dinner, before bed. Jarvis said this. Jarvis said that. You've become his world." I felt embarrassed. "I'm just doing my job." "No," Devon said directly, coming inside. "You're not doing your job. You're giving him love. The affection that I never could give." That word love broke something inside me. I looked at him and his eyes were in mine. Intense. Vulnerable. Self-critical. "Devon," I said his name for the first time and he paused at that informality. "I know," he said, coming a little closer. Now he was near an easel, just 5 feet away. "But the truth is, Jarvis, I haven't trusted anyone in a long time. Lauren's mother left when he was only 3 years old. She left me because I didn't have time. Because I was drowning in business. Because I prioritized meetings, deals, expansion. She said I was emotionally unavailable. Cold. A robot." My heart sank. This information? This vulnerability? Why was Devon telling me all that? And maybe she was right. Devon continued, pain in his voice. "I was doing the same thing with Lauren. I was giving him everything: money, toys, trips, the most expensive schools, but not my time. Not my presence. I missed his school events. Didn't read him bedtime stories. I was a stranger in my own home." He paused, looking toward the window. "Until you came, I didn't realize how much I was failing as a father. When I saw you with Lauren, your patience, your care, I wondered why I couldn't give him all that." "Devon, you're not failing." "I am," he cut me off, turning toward me. "But you have the love, the patience that I lack. And now when I see you with Lauren, I think maybe I can learn too. Maybe I can become a better father." He had come so close I could feel his breath. His cologne, woody, expensive, intoxicating. My heart was racing. This proximity was dangerous. "I want you to spend time with me too," Devon said, his voice low. "Dinners. Evenings. With Lauren. Like a family." Family. That word had never properly existed in my life. I grew up in foster homes. Never found a permanent place. One house to another. Never belonged. And now this man, this powerful, unreachable man, was asking me to become part of it. "Devon, this isn't appropriate." "Appropriate?" He looked at me and there was a flicker in his eyes. "Hurt? Frustration? Jarvis, I'm not asking you for a romantic relationship. I'm telling you that you're important to Lauren. And maybe to me too. As a friend. As someone I can trust." I had no words. I could only look at him, hearing my heartbeats. Devon took a step back, regaining his composure. The professional mask slipped back on. "Think about it. Please. Tomorrow night there's dinner, just Lauren and me. You come too, just a family dinner. No pressure." And he left, leaving me there, confused and overwhelmed. I stood alone in the studio. Lauren's paintings surrounded me. Flowers, trees, abstract colors. Each one showed improvement. Each one reflected his personality. And then Devon's voice echoed in my mind. "Like a family." I wanted it. I desperately wanted it. But this was crossing a line. Professional boundaries were blurring. And I was afraid that if I said yes, I couldn't come back. The next night I returned, but this time wearing a suit. For the first time at Ashford Estate, I was trying to look formal. Navy blue suit, white shirt, tie. Stupid, I know. But my heart was saying something else. I wanted to impress, to be accepted. The dining room was massive. A long table that could easily accommodate 20 people. But today the table was set small. Intimate. Just 3 chairs in a corner, candles, soft lighting. Devon was already there. In a white shirt, sleeves rolled up, no tie. Casual. And he looked stunning. The candlelight highlighted his features. "Jarvis." Lauren ran to me and grabbed my hand. "Dad said you're having dinner with us today. I'm so excited." "Yes, buddy. I'm here." Devon looked at me and smiled. "Sit down. Please." Dinner began. The food was incredible. Chef-made, high-end. multiple courses. But the most special thing was those moments when Lauren was telling his school stories, and Devon was genuinely listening to him. He wasn't even touching his phone. Undivided attention. I could see he was trying, really trying. "Lauren, how's your new teacher now?" Devon asked, setting his wine glass aside. "Miss Rivera is very nice. She calls my painting beautiful." And she showed it to the class. Everyone clapped. Devon looked at me. "Because of Jarvis." Lauren looked at me and smiled. "Yes. Jarvis taught me everything. Confidence too." My heart warmed. But then Devon said something else that changed everything. "Jarvis. Live here permanently." I choked. "What?" "Here. On the estate. There's a guest suite that's completely private. You can live there. No commute. And you can spend more time with Lorraine. Take proper care of him." "Devon. I'm not forcing you," he said quickly, gesturing with his palms up. "But think about it. What's your apartment like? Safe? Comfortable? Do you stress about rent? Bills?" He was right. My apartment was tiny, noisy, and barely affordable. Paying rent every month was a struggle. The heating never worked. The neighbors were loud. "I'm offering you a better life. No rent. No bills. Private space. And a better childhood for Lauren. Please think about it." Lauren placed his small hand on mine. "Please, Jarvis. Stay. I want you to live here. Always. Your family." I was caught between them. On one side Lauren's innocent plea, on the other Devon's intense gaze. And my heart, it had already said yes. "I'll think about it," I said. But there was no conviction in my voice. This was already decided. Devon knew. He smiled. Not victory, relief. Pure relief. And that night, when I went back to my apartment, I knew I was going to Ashford Estate. Permanently. But what I didn't know was that I wasn't going to be just a guest. I was going to become something else. Something more complicated. Something more dangerous. Because when I sat alone in my apartment, I remembered Devon's smile, Loren's happiness, and I realized I was already attached. Deeply. Dangerously. "This is your room." Devon opened the door and I stepped inside. Calling it a suite would be wrong. This was a complete apartment. A king-sized bed with plush gray bedding, an attached bathroom with a jacuzzi and rainfall shower. A walk-in closet already stocked with some basic clothes. And a private balcony from which the entire estate was visible. Gardens, fountain, and the city skyline in the distance. "This is too much," I said, feeling overwhelmed. I walked slowly through the room, touching everything as if confirming it was real. "Nothing is too much for you," Devon said, and there was an intensity in his voice that made me uncomfortable. He stood in the doorway, watching me explore. I turned toward him. "Devon, I'm just a tutor." "You're not just a tutor," he interrupted, entering the room. "You're the most important person in Lauren's life. And you're the first person I've actually trusted in this house. The first person I've allowed into my personal space." He was so honest it made my heart ache. Devon Ashford, so powerful, so guarded, was lowering his walls in front of me. And I didn't understand how to handle any of this. "Thank you," I said simply, because I had no other words. "This is very generous." Devon nodded and started to leave, but stopped at the door. "Jarvis, if you ever need anything at all, tell me. Even at night. I want you to feel comfortable. This is your home now." "Yes." He left, and I was alone in my new room. I placed my small bag on the bed, just some clothes and personal items. This all felt surreal. A few months ago I was struggling to pay rent, and now I was living on a billionaire's estate. Permanently. But the biggest thing, I was scared. Scared that this might be temporary. That I'd get attached here and then everything would be taken away. Like everything in my life had been taken away. I went out onto the balcony and took in the fresh air. It was night. The stars clearly visible, far from the city's pollution. This place was beautiful. Peaceful. But my heart wasn't peaceful. Because I knew something was happening with Devon. Something unspoken. Something dangerous. His glances. His words. Everything was blurring the lines. The next few weeks passed like a blur. I spent mornings through afternoons with Lorraine. Painting, drawing. Sometimes just walking in the garden observing nature. He was blossoming. His personality was becoming more confident. He now spoke openly, asked questions, expressed his feelings, and watching him made me feel happy. But the evenings? Those became Devon's time. At first there were dinners. Casual with Lauren. Then after Lauren went to sleep, Devon started calling me to his study. At first casually, I wanted your opinion on a charity event. Then you should see the art gallery exhibition. I can arrange tickets. It all seemed casual, professional. But Devon's eyes, they always said more. They lingered on my face, paused on my lips, and when I spoke he listened as if every word mattered. One night after dinner, Lauren had gone to sleep and I was about to go to my room when Devon stopped me. In the hallway, dim lighting. Jarvis. 2 minutes? I stopped. Yes, come to the living room. I'm opening wine. I need company. Wine? This wasn't professional. But I couldn't say no. Maybe I wanted his company too. In the living room the fireplace was burning, and Devon sat on the sofa with 2 glasses. In casual clothes, gray sweatpants and a black t-shirt. For the first time I was seeing him so normal. Human. Vulnerable. Sit, he said, and I took a spot on the other side of the sofa. Safe distance. He poured wine and handed me a glass. Cheers. Cheers, I said, though my hand was shaking slightly. We drank wine in silence for a while. The fireplace crackled. Comfortable silence, but charged too. Then Devon suddenly asked, "Why are you alone, Jarvis?" I was shocked. "What do you mean?" "I mean someone like you, kind, talented, caring, beautiful. Why isn't anyone with you?" He emphasized the word beautiful, and my breath hitched. I felt uncomfortable. I focus on my career. Relationships never worked out. People found me boring, or too emotional, or too clingy, because people didn't understand your value, Devon said sharply, setting down his glass. They took you for granted. Used you and then left. Maybe, I said, swirling my wine glass. But it doesn't matter anymore. I don't have expectations now. It matters, Devon said. And suddenly he moved closer. Very close. On the same sofa, thigh almost touching. "You should know that you're important. Very important. You deserve to be appreciated." My heart started racing. His proximity, his intense gaze, that deep tone in his voice, everything was overwhelming me. "Devon." I whispered his name. "Yes?" He moved even closer, his hand on the back of the sofa, near my shoulder. I could feel his body heat. "This isn't right." "Why not?" he asked, his eyes focusing on my lips. "Because I'm your employee. Because Lauren exists. Because this is complicated. Because I don't want a what?" Devon asked softly. "Get attached to you and then have you realize this was a mistake." Devon paused. Then he moved back slightly, but his eyes didn't leave mine. "Jarvis, this isn't a mistake. What I'm feeling is the realest thing." "What are you feeling?" I asked directly, gathering my courage. Devon took a deep breath. "I want you, your presence, your care, your—" He paused. "I should apologize. This is inappropriate." "No," I said quickly, shocked that I was saying this. "I like your company too. I'm also confused." We looked at each other with a silent understanding. The tension was still there. That pull was still there. But we were both holding back. Devon set down his glass and stood up. "Good night, Jarvis. This was good. Honest." "Good night, Devon." He left, and I sat there on the sofa, trying to calm my heart. But my heart wouldn't calm down. Because what was happening with Devon wasn't just attraction. It was something deeper. Something that scared me and excited me too. The next morning I was in the studio with Lauren when Devon suddenly entered. He had an envelope in his hand. Formal expression. "Lauren, buddy, can I talk to Jarvis for a minute?" Devon said softly. Lauren nodded and left, taking his sketchbook. He was giving us privacy, innocent child, but wise. "What's this?" I asked when the door closed. Devon handed me the envelope. "Your contract. Renewed. But this time I've made some changes." I opened the envelope, curious and nervous. Pulled out the papers. The salary was double. Benefits increased. Medical coverage comprehensive. But the most shocking clause, leave-in guardian for Lauren Ashford in case of emergency or parental absence. My mouth hung open. "Devon, I know this is unusual," he said, coming closer to me. "But if I ever have to travel, or there's an emergency, I want Lauren to be safe with you. I don't trust anyone else. Nannies and staff are fine for daily tasks. But Lauren needs emotional support. What only you can give. But this is a guardian position. This isn't just tutoring, this is parental responsibility. You already are all that for him," Devon said, looking directly at me. "I'm just making it legal. Please, Jarvis. This is very important to me. For my peace of mind, I couldn't say anything. This responsibility was so big. If I signed, I'd legally become part of Lauren's life. Emergency contacts, medical decisions, everything. But when I looked into Devon's eyes, that vulnerability, that silent plea, I couldn't refuse. Okay, I said. I'll sign. The relief that appeared on Devon's face was incomparable. He took a step forward and grabbed my hand, both hands tight grip. Thank you. You don't know what this means to me. You're the most important person to me and Lauren. His touch, his warmth. It all reminded me once again where I had ended up. I wasn't just a tutor anymore. I had become a permanent part of Devon and Lauren's life. Legally, emotionally, and it was both terrifying and exhilarating. Because when Devon released my hand, his fingers lingered on mine. 1 second too long. And the electricity in that touch was undeniable. We both knew something was changing, and there was no way back now. Jarvis, Dad says you'll always protect me, is that true? Lauren looked at me, his big blue eyes holding an innocence that tightened my heart. We were in the garden, afternoon sunlight falling on us, and he was drawing butterflies in his sketchbook. 2 weeks had passed since I'd been living here, and this place was starting to feel like home. Yes, Lauren. Always, I said, and this promise came naturally from my mouth. No matter what happens. He smiled and focused back on his drawing. But my mind was stuck on the contract I'd signed. The legal guardian clause. These weren't just empty words. This was a commitment. A responsibility I maybe hadn't fully understood then. But now I understood. But when I looked at Lauren, his happiness, his confidence that had built over the past months, I knew I'd made the right decision. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Devon. Come to the conference room. Urgent. My heart sank. Devon's tone was always measured, but urgent was never a good sign. Lauren, I'll be back in a bit. Okay? You keep drawing here. Should I call the nanny? No, I'm fine. Go, he said cheerfully. Surprisingly independent. I went inside the estate and headed toward the conference room. The door was open and Devon stood inside by the table talking on the phone. His voice was tight, controlled anger. I don't care. Cancel the deal. I don't do business with people who backstab. He disconnected the phone and slammed it on the table, papers scattering. I'd never seen Devon this frustrated. His jaw was tight, fists clenched. Devon? I said hesitantly. He turned and there was a storm in his eyes. Rage. Betrayal. But when he saw me, he calmed down slightly, as if my presence grounded him. Jarvis. Sorry. You shouldn't have seen this. What happened? Devon took a deep breath and collapsed into a chair, placing his hands on his face. Business problems. A partner betrayed me, leaked confidential information to competitors. A deal I'd been building for months is ruined. I walked over and stood on the opposite side of the table. I don't know what to say. But if you need to talk to someone, I want to talk to you, Devon said suddenly, looking at me. Only you. Because you're the person I can genuinely show myself to, without being judged. My breath hitched. Devon had never been this open. But today, his walls were cracking. Jarvis, I'm exhausted, he continued, his voice breaking, pretending to always be strong, always trying to be the perfect father, the perfect CEO. But the truth is, I'm scared. All the time. I doubt every decision. What are you scared of? I asked softly, coming around the table toward him. That I'll fail again. Fail Lauren. Fail myself. And now, fail you too. Me? My heart started racing. Devon stood up and came very close to me. Yes, you. Because you've become so important in my life that thinking about being without you scares me. Without you, this house feels empty. Without you, I'll incomplete. This confession was so raw that my entire body froze. Devon stood so close I could feel his heartbeat, his scent, his warmth. Devon, I know this is wrong, he said, placing his hand on my cheek. Gentle touch, trembling slightly. I know this crosses boundaries. But Jarvis, I can't lie to you. I want you. Your presence. Your care. Everything about you. My mind was screaming for me to step back. That this was inappropriate. That this relationship shouldn't be more than employer-employee. But my heart? It was already in Devon's hands. It had already surrendered. This is complicated, I whispered. But I didn't move back. I know, Devon said, his thumb gently moving on my cheek. But I'm not forcing you. I'm just being honest. For the first time with anyone. We stood there, looking into each other's eyes, and the world stopped. Then suddenly there was a knock on the door. Urgent, loud. "Sir?" A staff member's voice came. Devon quickly stepped back, putting his professional mask back on. "Yes?" "Miss Rivera is calling from the school. Something urgent about Lauren." We looked at each other, instant panic. We both rushed to the school. Devon drove his car himself, a black Aston Martin, and the entire way he was silent, but I could see his knuckles turning white as he gripped the steering wheel. His jaw was tight, eyes focused, but fear was clear. "He'll be okay," I said, touching Devon's hand. "Lauren is strong." Devon grabbed my hand. Tight. "I can handle this because you're with me." When we reached the school, we were sent to the principal's office. Lauren sat there, his shirt slightly torn, and in his eyes was that same fear I'd seen the first time. That regression. That trauma. "Lauren!" I ran to him and hugged him. "What happened, buddy?" "Some boys pushed me on the playground. They said I'm only here because of Dad, not because of talent. They said that you're also with me for money." My blood boiled. "They targeted me too? Our relationship?" Devon also turned toward the principal, pure rage on his face. "How did this happen?" Devon demanded. "Protecting my son is your responsibility. Where's the bullying policy?" The principal got nervous. "Mr. Ashford, we took immediate action. Those boys have been suspended." "Suspended? Just suspended?" Devon's voice became dangerously low. "My son was physically harmed and you're only giving suspension? Legal action is needed. Police complaint." "Devon." I grabbed his hand, containing his rage. "Let's take Lauren home first. We'll deal with the rest later. Lauren is the most important thing." Devon looked at me and slowly his rage began to melt. He nodded. We brought Lauren home. The entire way he was quiet, holding my hand. I kept reassuring him, "Everything's okay. I'm here." When we got home, Devon settled Lauren in his room. Personally. He made him hot chocolate, put on his favorite movie, and sat with him. I stood at the door, watching. Seeing Devon like this vulnerable, caring present touched my heart. An hour later, Lauren fell asleep and we both went to the study. "I'm going to destroy that school," Devon said sharply, throwing papers on his desk. "Stop donations. Legal action. Media exposure." "No," I said, standing in front of him. "That will be worse for Lauren. He'll feel everyone suffered because of him." Devon was frustrated. "So what should I do? Watch my son suffer and do nothing?" "We need to make Lauren strong," I said. "Make him understand his worth doesn't depend on others' opinions. And maybe homeschooling is a better option." "We?" Devon looked at me, focusing on that word. "Yes. We. You and me. We'll handle him together." Devon looked at me and something changed in his eyes. Softness, gratitude, and love. Pure, unconditional love. He came close and hugged me tight. "Thank you, Jarvis. You're everything to me and Lauren." I was in his embrace, my heart racing, but I felt comfortable. Safe. Like I belonged. And in that moment I realized I had fallen in love with Devon. Deeply. Irrevocably. And this realization terrified me. Because love meant vulnerability. Love meant risk. And I'd lost that love before. But when Devon held me tighter as if he'd never let me go, I thought, maybe this time would be different. Maybe this time I could win. "Dad, I don't want to go to school." Lauren's sentence dropped like a bomb at the breakfast table. Devon set down his coffee cup, and I stopped my fork. The three of us were there, a seemingly normal family breakfast, but the fear in Lauren's eyes was changing everything. "Lauren, son." Devon went to his son and sat at his level. "You have to go. Education is important, but they'll bother me again." Lauren's voice cracked. "Their suspension is over. Yesterday they cornered me in the cafeteria again. They said that Jarvis will leave too, just like Mom did." My heart broke. They'd targeted Lauren's biggest insecurity, abandonment. I went to Lauren and held his hand. "Lauren, listen. I'm not going anywhere. Promise. They're wrong. The talent you have in art is your own. You've worked hard, but nobody believes that." He cried. "Everyone says I'm spoiled. A rich kid. That you only say nice things because I'm your favorite." Devon looked at me helplessly. He didn't know what to do. And for the first time I saw CEO Devon Ashford, completely lost as a father. "Lauren," I said, keeping my voice firm. "If you don't want to go, that's okay. We can do homeschooling. best tutors, personalized education. And I'll be with you every day. Lauren slowly nodded and clung to me tightly. Really? Really? Devon looked at me, gratitude, admiration, and something else I couldn't name. Love? Respect? Both? After that day, everything changed. Devon decided Lauren would be homeschooled. Private tutors were hired for every subject. Math, science, literature, but art? That was only my responsibility. And I didn't want to disappoint him, but the tension building with Devon became impossible to ignore. At night when Lauren slept, Devon would call me to his study. At first there were excuses. Need to discuss Lauren's curriculum or finalize tomorrow's schedule. But now, the excuses had ended. We both knew these study sessions were something else. Excuses for closeness. Excuses to spend time. One night I went to the study and Devon stood by the window, shirt sleeves rolled up, tie loose. He looked tired but also beautiful. You called? I said. He turned and looked at me. Yes. I just needed company. Your company. That word hit my chest hard. Specific. Personal. I sat on the sofa and Devon came and sat in front of me so close our knees were touching. Jarvis, he said, his voice low. You know I can't live without you anymore. Right? My heart skipped. Devon. No, please, let me say this. He placed his hand on mine. Since you came, my life has purpose. Lauren is happy. I can finally breathe. I can finally accept myself. And it's all because of you. Devon, this is just the situation. You're feeling grateful, not grateful. I love you. The world stopped. Those 3 words, I love you, echoed in my mind again and again. Devon was looking at me, intensity in his eyes that paralyzed me. Vulnerability. Truth. This can't happen, I said, pulling my hand from his. Standing up. You can't love me. I'm your employee. Lauren's tutor. This is a power imbalance. You're so much more than that, Devon said. Also standing. You're my partner. My everything. I ran my hands through my hair, pacing. Devon, this is complicated. If this goes wrong, what happens to Lauren? His stability. Lauren already loves you, Devon said sharply. He considers you family. He wants you here. Permanently. And I consider you the same. Family. That word touched my heart again. I'd always wanted family. But this was all so fast. So intense. I'm scared, I admitted, my voice cracking. My throat was tight. If I trust you and you realize this was a mistake, I'll be alone again, and this time I'll break. Devon stood and came to me, placing his hands on my shoulders. Firm grip. Grounding. Jarvis, look in my eyes. This is real. What I'm feeling is the realest thing I've ever felt. I was married once. It was an arrangement like a business merger. But this, with you, this is the first time I'm actually in love with someone. I looked in his eyes, and there was only truth there. Pure, unfiltered truth. No pretense. No manipulation. Just love. I need time, I whispered. Devon nodded. But his grip on my shoulders tightened, as if he didn't want to let me go. I'll wait. However long it takes. But I'm not taking this back. I love you. That's a fact. And he stepped back, giving me space. But that night I couldn't sleep. My mind stayed stuck on Devon's confession. His voice. His eyes. And the biggest thing? My heart was telling me I loved him too. Deeply. Completely. The next 2 days were awkward. I spent time with Lauren but avoided eye contact with Devon. He understood. He didn't pressure me, just behaved normally. But I could see that longing in his eyes. But on the 3rd day, everything changed. I was in the studio with Lauren when suddenly the door burst open. Devon entered, panic on his face. Real fear. Jarvis. Lauren. Quickly. Leave the house. Now. What happened? I was shocked. Security breach. Someone tried to enter the estate. Armed. Devon picked up Lauren and grabbed my hand. Come with me. To the safe room. The 3 of us ran to the basement. The safe room was behind a reinforced steel door. A panic room. As soon as we entered, Devon locked the door. Multiple locks. Biometric scanner. What's happening? I demanded, holding Lauren against me. I don't know, Devon said, pulling out his phone. Security team is handling it. But I can't take risks. Not with you. Not with Lauren. Lauren clung to me, shaking with fear. I hugged him tight. Everything will be okay, buddy. I'm here. Dad's here too. We'll protect you. Devon was checking security cameras on his phone. His jaw tight. Minutes felt like hours. The intruder has been caught, he said with relief. Security neutralized him. Police are coming. Who was it? I asked. Devon hesitated, looking at Lauren. Lauren, buddy, put on your headphones. Listen to music. Lauren nodded and put on his headphones. When he was distracted, Devon told me, a hired thug from a rival company. Assassination attempt. He came to threaten me, or worse. My blood froze. Threaten? Your life is in danger? Seriously? Devon looked at me. It always is. The business world is brutal. But I never let this reach home before. This is the first time. And I'm terrified. I was shocked. Devon was admitting so vulnerably that he was scared. And Lauren? What about him? I said sharply. If they're targeting you, then Lauren is in danger too. That's why I made you legal guardian. Devon said. If something happens to me, you can keep Lauren safe. You love him. I trust that. If something happens to you. My voice cracked. Tears came to my eyes. Devon, you're seriously saying this like it's normal? Your life is in danger and you— I'm fine, Jarvis. He grabbed my hand. And now that you're here, I'll be even more careful. Promise. Because I can't lose you. My heart was racing. This threat was real. Devon's life was actually in danger. And Lauren? He was part of this too. Could become collateral damage. I can't lose you, I whispered, tears finally falling. I love you. Devon froze. What? I love you, I repeated, louder. And I was scared to accept it. But today I thought if something happened to you and I never told you, I could never forgive myself. Devon took my face in his hands. Jarvis, are you serious? Yes. I love you deeply. Completely. And it terrifies me. And in that moment, Lauren beside us with headphones on. The world chaotic outside. Devon kissed me. Soft. Gentle. But full of promise. And when the kiss broke, he whispered, I love you too. And now that you're with me, I can handle anything. I was in his embrace. Tears still falling. But now they were tears of relief. Of acceptance. Of love. And I realized I had fallen completely, hopelessly in love with Devon Ashford. And there was no way back now. But I didn't want to go back either. Because this imperfect, complicated, beautiful relationship, this was the family I'd always wanted. And I would protect it. No matter what.